Hey guys, Flamengo greetings. This is Flamengo. Welcome to the Paparazzo Rubro Negro channel. If you're new here, I invite you to follow, like, and share on all platforms. If you're on YouTube, I invite you to subscribe down below, turn on notifications by clicking the bell, and leave a cool like on the video. We're here reminding you, man, that I brought this for you. Boosted odds for João Fonseca's match. Then they told me the match is at 3 in the afternoon because actually I was watching the match. The 6 o'clock time, it looked like 6 in the morning, but I think it was 6 in the afternoon in France, right? I can't say for sure, but I saw that the time is 3 in the afternoon in Brazil, so that's when we'll go. There's still a chance, right, for people to take advantage, place their bets. You can do it with new registrations. You can go for this super odds of 14, always remembering to gamble responsibly. It's for people over 18. It's entertainment, not an investment. So check out Esportiva Bet right now. Register now using our link that will be in the pinned comment and also our QR code, right? You can access it right now, man. The World Cup is going to be spectacular. We'll have lots of odds, lots of boosted odds, super odds, a lot of cool stuff to bring you. Always remember, right, that we're also here sponsored by Mais Cabelo. Remember that we have Mais Cabelo all over Brazil. Every corner of Brazil has a Mais Cabelo near you. And you can get 60% off right now on the Mais Slim program from Mais Cabelo, okay? So there's a QR code for 60% off, so you can check out the program and have medical supervision. Man, it's amazing. It's a program that a lot of people are losing weight with. And for hair loss, we also have an amazing treatment. And I, who had really thin hair, my hair is growing back, getting strong again, which is really important. Even wearing a cap, you know, they say wearing a cap isn't very good, but I wear a cap a lot. But still, doing the treatment, also your Exomagic is in the description, pinned comment. You can take advantage if you want to already plan your trips, right? After the Cup, for example, Flamengo and Cruzeiro, Copa Libertadores, right, to Belo Horizonte. If you want to plan your trips for the Brazilian Championship too, you can call Araudo's Caravan. I'll also leave in the pinned comment and in the description the WhatsApp contact for Araudo's Caravan. Well, I'm bringing you some important information about the transfer market we have here. What? Yeah. We're out for a walk with Otinho today. Regarding the possible signing of a midfielder who also plays on the wings, right? But naturally, the midfielder is Ezequiel Barco, right? Flamengo fans approve of him. Yeah, and with the World Cup break, the board is working with the goal of signing a midfielder. Leonardo Jardim wants a midfielder, and Ezequiel Barco comes up as an option. It's an interesting signing option for Flamengo, okay? He belongs to Spartak Moscow. According to journalist Cesar Luis Merlo, he is interested in returning to South American football for personal reasons. Given the player's interest, Independiente explored the possibility of signing him on loan with an obligation to buy 50%. In this situation, Flamengo fans believe he could be a good option for the club, especially with this type of deal, considering Flamengo's financial power. But I've already told you that Flamengo won't be able to spend much in this transfer window. The fans believe that Flamengo could outbid Independiente, right? Barco is 27 years old. He goes just over that age limit for Flamengo's signings. Flamengo wants to sign players up to 26. Maybe being 27 won't be a problem. He has a contract with Spartak Moscow until February 2027. So since his contract only runs until next year, it might be possible to get a good deal. The player's desire to return to South American football could be decisive for the progress of the talks. Despite the fans' interest, his name is not being considered internally. That's crazy, isn't it? He's a player who, by the way, was also mentioned by CRF Matos. Matos, our buddy on Twitter, a good guy on X, posted, Flamengo will only miss out if they don't want him. A loan with a purchase option of 50 shows that Independiente doesn't have money. Go there and offer a loan with a purchase option of 100. It makes it easy for him to come. I agree, right? Yeah. And then people are complaining that Boto has to go after him and all that. People are really complaining that Flamengo should sign Ezequiel Barco. So what do you think? Would it be a good move? Comment here. Do you think he would do well at Flamengo? Would he be a good midfielder for Flamengo, right? Yeah, I'm going to check here, right, about Ezequiel Barco. His market value is 16 million euros. That's his market value, okay? It would be 8 million euros that Flamengo would have to spend if Flamengo sells Rian Roberto. Flamengo would already be able to sign Ezequiel Barco, right? An attacking midfielder, 27 years old, Argentine. I think it's a spectacular name. It's a shame, right, that CRF Matos brought it up and Flamengo's board is not evaluating it internally. But the fans, seeing the news from Cesar Luis Merlo and Independiente and all, Flamengo's fans already got excited. Well, let's go. Yeah, we have a few things to talk about here. It's unbelievable. But while we had Luis Eduardo Baptista Bapi, president of Flamengo, crying when talking about what it feels like to be at Fla, what Flamengo brings out in him, everything Flamengo, all the situations Flamengo, the emotions Flamengo creates in him. When they lose, when he feels he could do something for the club. Let's listen to what BP said. Yeah, it was an interview he gave to a podcast that from FSB Holding, right? Expresso.news, okay? And he talked about that. I found it interesting that on the same day he declared his love for Flamengo, the club he leads as president. We had the president of Palmeiras, Leila Pereira, saying that she wants to own a club. She doesn't talk about Palmeiras, she talks about owning a club. And we notice a really big difference, right? When you run a club and you love that club, and when you run a club but you're just there for, status or just to be there in charge, building a career and all that, right? Look at what the story that Bap told. Let's see here.
The talk with the coach changed your relationship with Flamengo. Do you know what that means? You have to do something that fills your life, that makes you happy, right? Do you like playing golf? Do you practice any sports? What do you like to do? I said, man, actually, as a hobby for me, it's soccer. And then he asked me to explain to him why soccer in Brazil would be considered a religion or not. And then he went into a dimension of feelings, right? He asked, what do you feel about this? I said, I feel hatred. I feel indignation. I get outraged. And he said, and what are your reactions? I said, I break things around me. He said, you break things. I break things because of Flamengo, because of Flamengo's results. Flamengo affects my life a lot. And then there was and we kept talking. He kept writing down key words. He would put them up on the flip chart, the parking lot, as you call it, right? Important points. So he wrote down indignation, hatred, loss of control. Then he put there anger management. How do you deal with that? And then he came and said the following. So let's make a deal. Let's make a plan here. Since you're such a disciplined, focused guy, let's make a plan. Let's eliminate Flamengo from your life. That was a terrible scene. And after about 15 minutes of me insulting him, saying he didn't understand anything, that he was a foreigner, that he couldn't understand, he came and said, let's take out a sheet of paper. It's not an option. You're not going to rationally take Flamengo out of your life.
That was touching.
He says, so let's embrace it. He puts it there. What is he going to do? How do you join in? You have to be a member. Buy a membership. How do you change the club? The bylaws are complex. Do you have to buy the bylaws? I said, no, you just download them. He said, download and read the bylaws. Understand the bylaws. Definir. Set priorities. And that's how our group of 12 started, which actually began in 2009. And then I told him when, 2009, as a member. And then he said, it's Dan, send a picture of your ID. I said, now I have a foreigner, not even a traffic ticket. Hi, my auditor. Very good, now I'll send a picture of the bylaws. And then the guy who was the global president of DirecTV gave me 10 coaching sessions with this guy who cost a fortune. So I had to go to Berkeley in the United States every 45 days to report on my development with Flamengo. And that's how it started.
Guys, so then, You see how much of a Flamengo guy he is and how much it moves him and how much BP, Flamengo's president, loves and supports the team. Yeah, the emotions that he feels and everything, right? Yeah, so for me, that's spectacular. We can see that he really cares about the club he manages. And then you have Leila Pereira giving an interview to... It was Globo, right? It was Globo. Let me check here. Yeah. Globo News. She gave an interview to Globo News. Yeah. And then she said the following: I might own a club in the future. That's right. Right? It's at the premiere of Podeir. She said that in the future she wants to be a club owner and that she doesn't see herself asking for votes to be president and all that anymore. And which club does she want to own, guys? That her family, the Lamarca family, is buying? It's Vasco. Then they keep saying, no, it has nothing to do with it. It's her family. It's the son. It's the husband's son and all that. It's not her, right? There you go. And just to be clear, right, there's no love involved. What she wants is to own a club. Her whole thing was always to do this so she could become a club owner. And I'm really happy to see the difference between the president of Flamengo and the president of Palmeiras. Yeah, and to top it off, yeah. She pointed out that Flamengo is not Palmeiras' big rival, trying to downplay Flamengo a bit, right? Flamengo is not Palmeiras' rival and all that. Yeah, I really don't know what she's trying to do with these things. Look, Flamengo is not Palmeiras' big rival. Flamengo is a club that's always competing for titles with us. It's a great institution and competes on all fronts. That's why this narrative of rivalry exists. I don't start conflicts with Flamengo's management, but if I'm provoked, I won't stay silent. Come on, man, you're the one who provokes. Always. You're the one who always mentions Flamengo. You're mentioning Flamengo again. No one at Flamengo ever mentions you for anything. For instance, we influencers you talked about yesterday, telling people not to follow us. We just respond to ridiculous narratives that are put out by Palmeiras itself in its own official statements. Right? And she says, I'm not going to stay silent. Sometimes statements are made that I disagree with and I respond. No, you don't respond. You make statements and people respond to you. It's different. Okay? It's unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. And to bring up an interesting situation here for us, right? All related to this, right? Because it has to do with Palmeiras, this whole situation. I've already said Rodrigo Sintra, head of the refereeing committee, should be removed because of these refereeing absurdities. They need to put someone else in charge because there have been too many shady things and too many mistakes for too long. We also need to talk about the Mirassol game. The Mirassol game, there was an offside call, but the ball came from a throw-in. That's a total lack of knowledge. It's a lack of qualification, right? Yeah, so these are situations we just can't accept. We can't accept this anymore. Mauro, Cesar Pereira, and Neto commented on what happened. A huge embarrassment for Brazilian soccer. Mauro Cesar says it's a goal with no clear reason for being disallowed. You can't understand why there was all that controversy between VAR and the field referee. Not just the decision, the referee thought the goal was irregular, or whatever remains of the refereeing panel, right? He says it really is a shame. Then he called the penalty, so Chape loses anyway. It wasn't cool. Okay? What justifies disallowing that goal? What justifies disallowing that goal? It's impossible to understand, truly impossible. This can't be dismissed as a minor issue because there are mistakes and then there are mistakes. Some refereeing mistakes are minimally tolerable. Others are debatable, but there are mistakes that show that the referees aren't qualified because they don't understand their own job. Or, you know, like Thiago Asmar said, it makes the fans suspicious that something is going on. That's the worst part. Asma was absolutely right when he said the fan has the right, seeing all this, to be suspicious. Suspicious. To question their integrity, to question everything. Yes, he can be suspicious. He can insinuate. He can insinuate because what happened is just too crazy. You have to be suspicious because something wrong is going on. You have to be suspicious. It's surreal. Everything is wrong, guys. And then he goes on. When the World Cup is over, will people remember that this game had a serious refereeing mistake? Because that needs to be remembered, right? It needs to be remembered because later, if Flamengo can't close the gap with Palmeiras, right? Flamengo can't close the gap. You have to remember. You have to remember, people have to remember, just like they remember back in 2005, right? About Corinthians' title that Inter got screwed. But people remember, even today, about Edelson, right? Do you remember this situation? Corinthians were champions with proven cheating. An investigation is needed. Also, does suspending the referee help? They need to suspend their leader. Suspend the referee. If you suspend him now, after the cup he returns, what happens to Chape's points? They're down there getting relegated at the bottom of the table. Where are Chape's points? They're with Palmeiras. That's what should have been done. There should have been a trial. They have to take the points from Palmeiras and give them to Chape. This is shameful, man. So if nobody does anything for me, this isn't going to do anything, okay? Neto. It's absurd what they did to Chapecoense. This guy needs to be suspended. He should go 6 months without refereeing. Then, okay, that's a fair punishment. 6 months without refereeing because what he... My wife was saying she wanted to know what that referee heard in his earpiece. I think that's what everyone wanted to hear, right? Because they say they released the VAR audio, but there's still some audio there that they don't, right? There's something there that, man, it's not possible that all the audios have been released. It's very shady. Okay, and when he says, I've thought of everything, guys, it's not possible. Do we really hear all the audios when CBF releases the VAR? We get the VAR audio that CBF releases, but do we really hear it all? We should be suspicious, as Asmar said. Fans, journalists, everyone has a right to question it after seeing this. Is there any extra audio? Do you guys think there's extra audio? Have you ever thought about that? Is there extra audio in the earpiece? That's not possible, huh? Who sent it? Do you really think it was just player pressure? Wasn't there even more? How did he make that decision to review the play on video if there was nothing to be analyzed? If the VAR itself said his decision was correct, there was nothing to be analyzed? Okay? So, Neto said, it's absurd what they did to Chapecoense. This guy needs to be suspended. He should go 6 months without refereeing. What he did yesterday as a referee was a disgrace, both for Chapecoense and for Palmeiras. It was a disgrace for Palmeiras itself. It's a tainted championship. Shameful, okay? Look, the new Flamengo jacket leaked with... It's white, right? With white as the main color, complemented by black and red details on the shoulders, okay? I'll show you here. It kind of looks like, I don't know, up there it reminds me a bit of that Germany one, right? With the stripes and all. Or it looks like a wing, I don't know what. My wife prefers not to comment. Didn't like this one either, huh? Look, I always give compliments, but this one is kind of, let me check the comments here. Wow, so many people, beautiful, so beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. Oh my God, flaw Germany, see? People think it's what I said about Germany. It really does look like it, okay? The German tracksuit. Yeah, we have some news here, right? Flamengo's homegrown player, Leo Duarte, is very close to being announced by Atlético Mineiro. The Minas Gerais club announced they've agreed on salary terms with the defender who previously played for Istanbul in Turkey. Yeah, the contract will be valid for 3.5 years. The signing of the contract and the official announcement only depend on the medical exams, which are expected to take place in mid-June, okay? So the former Flamengo defender, Leo Duarte, isn't exactly a huge signing, but he's a defender, right? Reasonable. He's a player who, with the squad Atlético Mineiro has, will definitely play. He'll be a starter. I have no doubt he'll be a starter. That's it. Please follow, like, and share on all platforms. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, turn on notifications, and like the video. Flamengo greetings. This is Flamengo. Thanks all. Big hug. I'm out.